5 reasons a felon should never use a public defender on today's Modern Day Leper with Ahmad Blakemore. Hello, how are you? And welcome back to another edition of Modern Day Leper with Ahmad Blakemore. So today we're discussing 5 reasons a felon should never use a public defender. And we must remember that we're already in the system. And being already in the system will make the jury or the court prejudiced against you because you're already in the system. But we know things happen. And so being registered people, we end up back in court for various reasons. You may not be a registered person, but just have a prior felony and end up back in court. The last thing you want is to use a public defender, okay? And the first reason why you do not want to use a public defender is because they have no time to investigate. None whatsoever. They have a tremendous caseload. The average public defender has between 200 and 300 clients. 200 to 300 clients, the average public defender. He has no time. And so when he comes to court, what do you see? A bunch of files. He walks in, his tie is all jacked up, and he comes in, he puts all these papers down because he has no time to investigate. This is not the person you want representing you when you already have a prior felony. You do not want this guy. Why? Because he has a backlog. Most public defenders already have a backlog. Tons and tons and tons of cases. And the best he's going to do in an unorganized situation is to try to put it off, to get you a continuance, so you have to come back to court again. You do not want this. You want to get your case handled professionally. A public defender has no time. Just in training is number 2. What? A public defender is just in training? Most of these lawyers, when they pass the bar, like any other professional position or profession, police officers need so much time or so many hours in the field. A doctor will need so many hours learning about certain procedures, especially if he's a specialist. A lawyer who passes the bar must work so many cases before he actually becomes a licensed lawyer. And guess what? He's a public defender. And he may or he may not be ready to handle your case. He may not have the understanding fully of what you're charged with. You don't want your case to be him learning the process. He's just there to learn the process as a lawyer who just passed the bar. Do you want your freedom to be based on him learning the process, him learning how to interact with the judge, a base amateur? You do not want this amateur who is just trying to get hours clocked or a certain amount of cases clocked handling your case. This is not what you want. And if you do end up with this, you're going to have a problem. The third thing is this, and this is the big deal. They want you to make a deal. Public defenders always want you to make a deal. Why do they want you to make a deal? For the same reason I said in number 1, they have no time. They don't have time to investigate this stuff. They don't have people working with them to get things done. So they want you to take a deal. 80 to 90% of the cases that public defenders defend are deals. And 90% of these deal cases are done in about, brace yourself, 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's how long it's going to take him to shoot you up the road with a deal. 5 minutes. You can see it in your mind already. You go to court, some guy comes in, his tie's not even tied, his hair doesn't even look like it's been combed, he looks like he's been running all night. He comes in, his sport coat doesn't even match his pants, and he's got 50 folders, and he puts all the folders down on the table, and they call your name, John Doe number 1, and he's got to fumble through to find your file, and he's not even sure if he's got it or not. And if he can't find it fast enough, he'll ask for a continuance. If he does find it, he'll plead you out. And you don't need this. Why? Because you already have a felony. So now he's going to plead you out again on top of the one you already have had, the one you may have already got a plea on, or the one you already have done time on. You don't need this. This is not good, especially if you're in a state that recognizes habitual offender. You do not want this case. And then you have to understand that the reason that these people want to make deals is because the DA and the public defender's office work together. The DA wants to be state's attorney. She wants to run for a state senator one day. The public defender's office might want to be the DA. They might want to be state's attorney. They might want to run for the Senate. Each one of these two organizations, the DA and the public defender's office, are working together in tandem to advance their careers together. So the number one thing they need on you is a conviction. And the last thing you need to do if you already have a felony is to trust these people. You do not need to work with these people. Don't trust them. They're only going to deal you out. The fourth reason is you still have to pay. I know, I get it. If you can't afford a lawyer, one will be appointed to you free of charge. That's the cost of the lawyer. That's not the court costs. That's not the fees. That's not the restitution. If you're being sued, you'll still end up paying. You may not pay the lawyer's fees, but you're going to pay all the court costs, restitution, and fines that are occurred. And all of this is switching who gets paid. You're still paying. The lawyer directly is not getting paid, but that's court costs. And where do you think the lawyer's salary comes from? Where do you think these funds that pay these public defender pretenders come from? And all those fines, restitution, and court costs that you're paying. So they're getting their money from you. You just don't know that they're getting their money from you. And the other part of it is some of these costs, this restitution and these fines and all of these other costs, if you fail to pay them, you can be rearrested and charged with not paying and have that same case come back up again. It will come back to haunt you. You still have to pay because it only covers lawyers' fees. And number 5, listen, let's keep it real. Number 5, innocent people don't use public defenders. Think about that. If you're totally innocent, if you have not committed this crime, if you know you have not committed this crime, and you have proof that you did not commit this crime, and you have alibis, and you have witnesses and people that were with you that can verify you did not commit the crime, you do not need a public defender. You do not need somebody who's not going to investigate. You do not need somebody who has no experience. You don't need someone who's going to make the deal. You don't need someone who's going to end up making you pay anyway. If you're innocent, you don't need a public defender. And if you're guilty, you can't afford to use one. If you really did the crime, you really don't need a public defender. You need to spend money. Because the public defender has no reason. He has no incentive. He's already being paid. He's going to get that monthly salary from the fund that pays him his salary. You're not putting any money in his pocket, so why is he going to go over and above for you? You are part of an assembly line of names in manila folders that nobody knows. John Doe number 1. He'll grab it, take you up to the bench, and deal you out. It'll all take 4 or 5 minutes, and he's on to the next name. And he'll just stand there. And he'll rattle through 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 different people. And he'll have all those people come to court on the same day and do absolutely nothing for any of them. The most he's going to do is have you pay a fine, do some jail time, or get you a continuance, which you could do yourself. If you were going to get jail time, you didn't need him. If you were going to pay the money, you didn't need him. As registered people, as felons, we are a targeted group of people. We have to understand what our rights are. We need to calm down and slow down and think. When we are charged with a crime, the number one thing we should be doing is remaining silent, holding on to all of our rights, and getting a lawyer because we are worth it. We are worth paying for. And if your freedom is not worth paying for, perhaps you don't deserve it. Think about it. Are you going to put your freedom in the hands of a public pretender? You're kidding me, right? I'm Ahmad Blakemore. I am the modern day leper, and I will see you on the next one. And remember, my email address is available. If you want to support me directly, you can support me through my Cash App. It's always there available. Email me, talk to me, leave me some comments. And I would like to say I'm reaching out to different creators that are in our genre. So if you want to do something with me, I'm willing to do that. Drop me a line. Let's get together. Let's push it up. Let's do something big this year. So listen, continue to subscribe, share the videos, and continue to grow, and grow. God loves you, and so do I. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.